Everybody, hope you're doing well today. Thanks for joining me for day 71 to take a journey with me. I'm going to speak about Rahab today, another woman of the Bible. This journey for Women's History Month has been a wonderful and enlightening time for me, and I hope for you all as well as we go through the women of the Bible, and we are not done yet. Today, I will be, as I said, talking about Rahab, and her story is all about mercy and grace, in my opinion. Have you done things you need mercy and grace for? Are you doing things now that you would like to stop doing? And you're unsure if God would forgive you for them. His mercy and grace are there just for the asking for forgiveness and asking Him to come into our lives. Have you been forgiven? Have you been forgiven and received God's mercy and grace for yourself? I know I have, and I cannot thank God enough for forgiving me and accepting me with all that I have done and how I've turned my life around. Rahab is a wonderful example of one turning their life around and having faith in God to change her life as well. And she helped others so she could also save her family. Rahab's story begins in Joshua 2, where Joshua himself sent two spies into Jericho. Rahab's home is where they ended up in Jericho, the two spies. Jericho's king found out that spies were in his region. When the king's men went to her home, they did not find the spies because she, Rahab, hid them on the rooftop under some other items. She told these soldiers she didn't know where those two men were that came to her house earlier or where they were from. And she told these soldiers that those two spies left before dusk, that these men from the king should go out that gate and look for the spies themselves. And shortly thereafter, they went, and then the gate was closed for the evening because it had become dusk. So she lied to the soldiers. We read in Joshua chapter 2, verses 8 through 11. Before the spies lay down for the night, she went up on the roof and said to them, I know that the Lord has given you this land, and that a great fear of you has fallen on us, the Israelites, so that all who live in this country are melting in fear because of you. We have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to Sihon and Og, these two kings of the Amorites east of the Jordan, who you completely destroyed. When we heard of it, our hearts melted in fear, and everyone's courage failed because of you. For the Lord your God is in heaven above, and on the earth below. Rahab then asked the spies to not forget her and her family when they would return. They agreed to do so because she saved their lives. They added instructions for her so the rest of the people would know, the Israelites would know when they came into town, who she was. They explained all of her family had to be inside her home with her, for one, and for two, that she must have a scarlet cord in her window. Rahab helped them escape and did what they asked of her to do. In Joshua 6, chapter 6, it is explained how the Israelites indeed saved Rahab and her family. She is also mentioned in the New Testament in Matthew 1 in relation to connecting Rahab to the lineage of Jesus himself. And in Hebrews 11, chapter 11, verse 31, there is a statement mentioning her faith and being a believer of God because of her knowledge of him and all that he did, of Jesus did, God did for the Israelites before. Also in James chapter 2, verse 25, in the same way, it says, in the same way it was not even Rahab the prostitute considered righteous for what she did when she gave lodging to the spies and sent them off in a different direction? I think so. Rahab was a woman we can look back on, seeing the mercy and grace of God. Many look on the outside as well and only see someone's past and assume they are bad people now, or even as a whole. In this flesh, it is unfortunately hard to see others as God does, but He sees past the things we did before and rescues us with His unconditional love for us, His mercy and His grace for us. When you look at me, what do you see? Do you only see my past sins? Or do you see how God turned my life around indeed? Let us aim to see one another with God inside. You see God in one another. And if we know others are not followers of God, aim to be the positive influence that they need, the salt and light that brings them to understand how much their lives will change with Him. All the good of when letting Him take control of our lives, all the good that can come from letting Him have control of our lives. God knows when we do good for others, it's not just about doing deeds, it's also about having them in our lives. But when we help other people, He sees this. He sees everything we do. But when we know and understand and respect what He can do, it's how He saved people and how He can, with the Red Sea, what He did to the bad people. So go in that faith. And also when you look at other people, see that they can be rescued as well. We're all God's children after all, but we all have to ask Him into our hearts. See y'all tomorrow. God bless. Love you. Bye bye.